Hello, Tim from Fair Play now, and I'm just between jobs on a dull looking Tuesday morning. But it's not just any old Tuesday morning, it's Tuesday 23rd of March 2021. And the 23rd of March, of course, is the 1 year anniversary that the first lockdown here in the UK was announced, which was Monday, the 23rd of March 2020. So we've been in the midst of all this for 1 whole year. Is there anyone in the country that's still the same person they were this time last year? I think we've all changed, haven't we? We've had sort of changes in circumstances, many of us, and we've had changes in our mentality, and we've had changes in all manners of our life. A lot of psychological damage, I think, has been done in that year. People have lost loved ones to the lurgy as well, to the disease. There's no doubt about that. And I always like to sort of keep this into perspective. I think that if you're kind of over 70 and poorly, then you've got a reasonably high chance, maybe a sort of 1 in 15, 1 in 10 perhaps chance of dying of it if you got it. But I think for anyone who is under 70 and reasonably fit and healthy, your chances of passing away from it were sort of 1 in 1,000 or so. And if you're sort of under kind of 30, it's 1 in 10,000 plus chance. So I always keep things in perspective. Sad, I know, for the people who have passed away from this. I'm not sort of saying anything else or taking away from that. But I think the damage that has been done to the country and to people's psyches has been immense, absolutely immense. And I think there has been a lot of suicides happening. I know of 2 people. Well, I don't know them. I don't even know them. This always seems to be the case. It's always someone who knows someone who's passed away from it. And as I've been going around in the course of my job, I've come across 2 people now who have told me they've known people who have passed away from the disease. But I also know 2 people who have told me that they've known people who have committed lockdown suicides. So it's kind of, as far as my own personal experience of all this is concerned, it's kind of to all in that regard. So it kind of just shows you that the psychological harm is probably as great as, if not greater, than the potential risk from the disease itself. That's my perspective, and I know there's a lot of people with many different perspectives. Now, last week I sent out, it's all part of this World Freedom Day event, and I decided to do something about that. And what I did, I basically nailed my colours to the mast well and truly. So absolutely everybody, thanks to this video I sent out last week, everybody I know knows what my point of view on all this is now, whereas many of them probably didn't. And I've had getting on, I think now, getting on for 100 views now, I think, on that video, which is probably about 5 times the amount of views I normally get on these videos. So I know pretty much everybody who knows me has seen that video and they know how I feel. And what's the reaction been? I think radio silence, or a diplomatic radio silence, has been the overwhelming result of that video. No doubt they're sort of thinking, oh dear, poor old Tim, he's flipped, he's gone absolutely insane, you know, best keep quiet about it, best not sort of say anything to him. I did get a reply from one of my wife's friends who is in total agreement with what I said in that video. I've had 2 replies from guys I know who obviously don't agree with my point of view, have got the kind of totally opposite point of view, but at least they had the kind of decency to come back to me and say, you know, yeah, we've all got our different points of view, and yeah, if we just sort of wait things out, things will get back to normal. That's what they said to me, kind of basically, I think, trying to give me a bit of a pep talk, essentially. So, although they weren't agreeing with me, at least they had the decency to come back to me and actually say something. So, if guys, you're watching this video as well, thanks for that. So it means a lot to me. But I think it's all a question of perspective, isn't it? And there's people, and one of those guys said that he has been very worried about going out. Even last summer when we weren't in lockdown, he was very, very uncomfortable. Him and his wife were very, very uncomfortable going out and about, and much preferred to stay at home. And I suppose if you've been doing that, yeah, you are going to be thinking along the lines of, yeah, crumbs, there is this sort of horrible thing around, and I really need to be careful. But that's not been my perspective at all. My perspective is I had a few weeks in the first lockdown where I wasn't really getting any phone calls. Nobody wanted me in their house to do work. So I was sitting home. I was perfectly willing to go out and do work. It's just I wasn't getting the phone calls. But kind of late April, the phone calls started coming in again. And ever since late April, all the way through to now, all the way through the second lockdown, all the way through this current lockdown, I've been working pretty busily as well. And I would say I've probably been in, on average, 2 properties per day, probably with an average of 3 people in each of those properties. And a lot of the time with precious little social distancing and mask wearing, especially in the sort of early days. And I'm still here. And I know for a fact, because a lot of these customers are regulars, they're still here as well. So if you've got that perspective, plus I don't really watch the mainstream news and stuff either. I kind of watch more independent news sources. But given the fact that A, I haven't been watching the mainstream news. B, I've been doing all this work here, there and everywhere, sort of coming in contact with many, many people through the course of my work. And obviously trying to observe social distancing as far as I can, and that can be difficult. You're sort of working on a socket and all of a sudden someone sort of comes walking right past you, sort of thing. But that's the nature of the job. And I'm still here without any problems whatsoever. And also given the fact that I just don't know anyone directly who has died of the thing, can you kind of blame me for having this perspective that I've got? And I'll just put that to you. Can you sort of blame me? Do you think I'm mad for having that perspective? I don't think I'm mad. I don't think I'm going crazy. I just think I've got a certain perspective and other people have got another perspective. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with either perspectives, but that is the perspective I've got. So just a few thoughts there for you on this first anniversary of the start of the first UK lockdown on the 23rd of March 2021. And let's hope this is the last anniversary that we have. Let's hope there's not even an 18-month anniversary of it, let alone a second anniversary. So, Tim from Fair Play Now, thanks for watching.